What is up, everybody? It is your boy Chris Colgan here at Chris Colgan Drips. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram at Chris Colgan, where I show all my early sneaker pictures, all my early videos and all that. But let's get right into it. The number one question by far I am asked is, how do you get early pairs of Jordans, Nikes, and all that, which mainly I just do Jordans and Nikes. But let's just get right into it. So let me tell you guys how to do it, if it's even worth doing it, the pros, cons. I'm gonna tell you everything 100% no cap. So obviously the number one way is you're gonna have family at Jordan brand or Nike and all that. And I actually know someone through real estate. I'm actually a full-time real estate entrepreneur, and someone I know through real estate, their husband is very high up with Nike. They don't even get early pairs of Jordans. I'm talking, he is an executive and their kid can't even get early Jordans. And I know there's like a like a lot of the family member stuff can, but he can't even get them. So the fact that he can't tells me they don't really let that happen a lot inside the company, but maybe you do know somebody, or you know someone at Foot Locker or one of these other stores, but that is definitely gonna be the number one and easiest way. But it seems to me that's pretty much impossible. Like I've said, I've talked to other contacts within the industry, and that's very rare, unless you're like some sort of like superstar athlete or something like that, which otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this video. That's gonna be number one, the easiest way. So let's get into like the people like me and you and all that. So here's what ends up happening, right? From what I can tell as someone who's gotten a lot of early sneakers, most of them start in like countries like Vietnam, you know, China and all that, and they kind of start at one place and they end up over at a factory, or they're mass produced in China. Here's the issue, right? A lot of times early pairs will come out. They'll, you know, some of them will get out of the factory. I have no idea how. I don't know anybody in any of those places, but let's say they do somehow, or they make extra pairs, and then, you know, they end up with like bootleggers who make UAs sometimes, or they end up with other places and they are legitimate, and it's very hard to tell, you know, what's real and what's not real. So if you have a good connect overseas who can be legitimate with you and tell you like, hey, you know what, these are looking good or these are not looking good, here's the pair, or you can tell yourself by looking at pictures, that is definitely going to be the easiest way. But you know what, it is such a huge gamble, because first of all, think about it, you're sending your money to someone overseas you don't even know, who you probably met on Instagram or wherever. You don't even know if this person, if they're real or not. You don't know their reputation. You're expecting them to mail you a pair of sneakers, Jordans. There's so many different things that could happen during the mailing process, whether it be customs or whatever, and it's a huge risk. And trust me, I've asked before, the prices are not cheap like you would think they would be. And the other issue is that I see with that a lot of times is the people that get them, they may think they're 100% real and they're not, you know, and they're fake. And I'm not saying like, you know, there's people that really become in this thing obsessed. Like, you know, they want to, like, there was a guy literally obsessed with me. Anything I had, he would write me, he would write like everybody that was in the sneaker industry and copy me on it and say, this guy's a fraud, this guy buys fakes and all that. I never really responded to the guy because I was just like, honestly, I have a full-time job, I don't really have time for this. But he would even say that about pairs that I got on EA early access from the sneakers app. And I finally like wrote the guy one day and I did say, hey dude, Michael Jordan himself on video could hand me a pair of sneakers and you would say they were UA. So, you know, no matter what, and you know what, if you wear rock UAs, more power to you. Like, to me, it doesn't really matter. A lot of these early, you know, YouTubers or stuff like that, they do, you know, UAs reviews, and they kind of tell you that as a disclaimer, which is totally cool. Whatever, to each is their own. Not everyone has a bunch of money for sneakers. So, you know, that's the thing, is like, even though someone does send fakes, they may not always know that it was fake. So it's definitely a huge risk. Now, the third way is you're gonna know some kind of boutique store, which is called like a tier 0 store, and they're gonna get pairs very early and they're gonna backdoor them. I mean, let's just be honest, it's something that happens, it's going on for a long time, you know, and that's how they end up in the hands of resellers. Again, like, I know I joke about resellers and all that, but you know what, they're doing their thing, they're making their money. A lot of times they're investing their hard-earned money up front to get the sneakers and all that, and they're not paying retail. So keep in mind, like, when you're finding a connect through that or through a reseller, you know, you want to stick with box pairs, and you want to look at like the massive like sites like Z Sneakerhead or Nice Kick, and you want to make sure, hey, you know what, does this pair have a special box? Does it have a normal box? You know, Jordan 1 sometimes will have a special color box, or sometimes will have a regular box. And the problem is, I've been sold things before and they come back with a different box, and then I'll hit somebody up online and they'll say, hey man, that thing's actually coming out with a special box, and I end up like literally having to burn the pair of sneakers. Like, to me, I'm like, I'm not gonna put them online if I know they're fake, obviously. So, I mean, finding a legitimate reseller that, you know, has a good reputation, you can ask other people like, hey, you know, is this guy legitimate? Is he gonna rip me off? Is he gonna ship the shoes quick? You know, I've bought shoes from some of these people before, resellers, and they ship them out a month later, and I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, you showed me a picture, you had them in hand, and a lot of times they don't even have them in hand. So you gotta know somebody really legitimate. And keep in mind, again, like, one thing that people message me about is they say, hey man, you know, I want to get early pairs of sneakers, and I'll tell them, well, look, here's a good contact I know, and they'll say, okay, well, I can get it for retail, right? No, like, if I could get it for retail myself, which I never pay retail, I always pay overinflated prices, I would be buying them and selling them myself, you know? So you're not ever gonna pay retail, you know? Not gonna lie to you, it's just not gonna happen unless you hit on the sneakers app. And then finally, like, the best way, honestly, is you can get a lot of sneakers early on StockX, GOAT, eBay, and here's what happens, especially now, which I've gotten lucky a few times, and I've actually made some money doing this, whether I did a review or I bought them and just didn't like the sneaker or, you know, the Jordan or whatever, is they dropped in Asia early. Like, let's say, like, I just saw a post on Instagram that there was the Georgetowns, you know, in some stores in China, and they're legitimate pairs at nice sneaker boutique stores, and they're like selling over there for not much, you know, not bad. Well, people in, you know, StockX, they have places there that will, you know, that someone can sell the shoe and it'll get shipped to the United States via DHL and show up pretty quick. So you could end up with the sneaker, you know, 2 months early. And again, though, you're gonna pay a premium, but you do get the safeguard of like StockX, whether, you know, you think they're great or not, or eBay or GOAT, and you're gonna get the shoe like early. So that's kind of like a little quick way that I think is the best, is like looking for pairs that maybe dropped in Asia early, or like I remember one time there was a nice Dunk that was really popular. I forgot which one it was, but it dropped in Australia very early, and I went on eBay and there's people selling pairs of them on eBay from Australia. Then eBay authenticated it for me and sent it to me, and it took like a week or two to get here, but it still hadn't dropped to the United States for like 2 months. And sometimes England will end up with certain SBs or things like that. So to me, that's gonna be like your safest and best bet. And I know, like, you know, we're hoping like, hey man, I hope this guy gives me some kind of like wonderful like magic formula, but there really isn't. I mean, honestly, it's a pay to play type game. I mean, I'm a lot older than most of you guys. I've been working a long time, so I have the money to go out and, you know, pay the extra for them. And to me, it's more of a convenience thing, whether, hey, I want to make a video and pay extra for them, or I want to do a review and try to grow my channel, and it's something like I know people will search it, or there's just a shoe I really want, I don't want to mess with it later, so I'll go out and buy them early, you know. And that's not always the case, but I've certainly been ripped off or paid way more than I should. So if I was the average like consumer sneakerhead just doing it for fun, I really wanted to wear them and I really wanted them early, I would either find a legitimate reseller, or I would go through the GOAT, eBay, StockX. And let me tell you one thing though, I've tried 3 times, and all 3 times I was never sent the shoe. It was a nightmare. I had to complain through them, and each time I had to go and send my credit card company on them and say I never got the merchandise. And about 3 weeks to 4 weeks passed, and the shoe was about to be released, and I was like, what the hell, I'm paying $600 for a shoe that's now $300, you guys still haven't sent it. And they ended up giving, the credit card company got my money back. Fool me once, you know, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me type scenario. So I got fooled 3 times by GOAT. Maybe they fix it. I've seen like Seth Ballard, some of these huge people say, hey, they got it on GOAT instant ship. Never worked for me. What I ended up finding out a lot of times was GOAT just had reliable resellers that would send to them. Maybe the reseller never sent it. They would always claim shipping issue, which I thought was BS. So just keep that in mind. And you know what? I hope this video was, what is it? Informal? Informational? I don't know. Subscribe, comment below. As always, see you at the top or from the top.